Hi, good evening. My name is Rose Blaze and this is the live book show. I have with me this evening a wonderful author by the name of Nita in Awe. She has written a wonderful poetry book called All of Me. Nita, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's not a problem. We'll kickstart the show as we always do, Anita, with asking you to tell us, the audience, a bit more about yourself.
Like you said, my name's Nita in Awe.
Yeah.
That's the name that I sort of gave to myself probably about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Nita is actually a play on my middle name, which is Anita, and Ina actually means light in Yoruba.
Wow.
Yeah, so that sort of just put them together. I guess also because I'm just in awe of everything.
Wow.
I've had, like many of us, like some challenges in life, and so the name kind of came from that. So yeah, I'm a poet.
Yes.
I'm a writer. Obviously, I'm here because of my first book, which is All of Me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The Love, Agony, Ecstasy, and Release.
Wow.
I'm just really happy to be here.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love the book. I absolutely loved the book. There were ups and downs.
Yeah.
Some aspects I was laughing and thinking, oh, it's a bit cheeky.
Yeah.
Oh, this is really fun. And I found myself giggling. And other parts, I was profoundly sad.
Yeah.
And could feel your pain.
Yeah.
As one woman to another, I could feel your pain.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, let's begin talking about the poetry's in the book, you know, but I would ideally probably like to talk a little bit more about how I felt reading the book. I really was able to identify with a lot of the poems in the book. I felt some I could actually be in the room and be alive watching it unfold, if you like. And other parts were quite painful and related to aspects of my work as a social worker. I could identify with some of the poems that were in the book. So what I would ideally like to do now is play your first audio to give the audience an opportunity to have a little taster of where we're going with this. Okay.
Somewhere along the way, I forgot that kisses should be tender, and that my skin, heightened with an inexplicable sensation, should tingle whilst under his gaze. Somewhere between the flush of first love and the lessons of life, I forgot that the nape of my neck was made to receive delicate I love yous, and that my body is a melanated gift worthy of worship. Somewhere, whilst enduring long, hard days and uneasy nights, I forgot that even if I could count 1,000 threads, my value could not be found between his sheets. Somewhere, whilst dancing in and out of self-awareness, I forgot that vulnerability is a lifeline to my beating heart, and it should only be placed in the hands with the depth to hold it. Somewhere between feeding my impoverished mind and rediscovering who I am, I forgot that love should nourish and enrich everything from my smile to my invisible soul. Somewhere, somehow, I forgot. But now, I remember.
was awesome.
Thank
That
you.
was really awesome.
Thank you.
Well done. You know, I love the fact, you know, music and words always go well together. So that was well put together. I really enjoyed that.
Thank
So
you.
let's talk a little bit about your motivation to write this book.
Okay. Yeah, I consciously started writing the book about 2 years ago. But then some of the poems in there will be about 5 years old before I even knew that I was writing a book. I always kind of loved to write, mostly just writing for myself.
Okay.
But then 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm. Yeah, and they told me it was very rare.
What? Life-threatening?
Yeah, and they told me that I would need to have an operation. You know, open brain operation.
Surgery.
You know, surgery.
Yes.
So quite serious, and it was at
Very.
that point where I just had my whole life had to just stop, and I had to really reevaluate everything and look at everything and look at what hurt me in life,
Oh, wow.
look at what I've loved in life,
Wow.
what was important.
Like a reset button almost.
Yeah, definitely like a reset button. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
And
So
had you had
from-
your children by then? Not
Oh,
wanting
yeah,
to
yeah.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
Gosh, you must have been
Yeah,
in
because
such
my
a...
daughter's 13 now. She was
Okay.
11 then, and my
Wow.
son's 18 now. He was 16 then. So at the time, I thought I was going to die.
Oh,
I actually
my
thought
life.
that, you know, and then
Yeah.
I had to find hope.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to find hope. So I started writing. It felt like once I found that space inside of me that wanted to heal,
Okay.
and knew that I actually had the power to heal within me,
And the children to live for.
and the children to live for, myself to live for.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I just started writing.
Wow.
So that was the motivation. I would
Yes,
say
the
consciously for the
motivation.
book. Yeah.
And so, who then inspired you? Or do they roll into one?
I think what inspired me was the healing journey.
Right, right.
You know,
So you'd had the operation.
I haven't had any operation.
You
no.
haven't had any operation as yet?
No, I won't.
You
I
won't?
won't.
Is that because you're afraid? Or?
No, that's because I just know that the power of healing.
Wow, okay. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about...
I know that each one of us has the power to absolutely heal
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yes, yes.
But I also know that there is the emotional self. You know, I mean, I don't know what anyone else's beliefs are.
Yeah.
You know, I only know what I know, and I know that the thing is what I call it. I don't even call it an aneurysm anymore. I call it the thing, which I now believe is gone.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and not naming it, not owning it, was
Yes,
a part of
yes.
it. Was a part of the journey
Yes,
as well.
yes, the healing.
And I just believe
That's
that
fantastic.
it was sent to me, so I could stop and look at my life and change.
Right. Ooh.
You know, not that I
What
was
a
out there doing
perspective.
anything kind of.
No, that's fantastic
you know,
though.
but yeah,
What a
so I could
perspective.
find my purpose, and my purpose is
Yeah.
writing.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's me and you together.
Yeah.
So, what messages would you say you wanted to convey to the reader?
That healing is so important. I mean, you know,
Loving
most
ourselves.
of us, and loving yourself.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so important. It's like it's the most important thing,
yeah.
because and I know it sounds cliche, but you cannot fully love and give someone anything unless you fully love and understand how to give that to yourself.
Yeah, so it's
So-
having that inward journey, isn't
Yeah.
it? Which is what I'd read
Yeah.
in so many of your poems.
Yeah.
They were so frank and real
Mm.
and honest.
Yeah.
A lot of authenticity there,
Yeah.
you know, and in some instances I think, she wrote that?
Yeah.
She wanted people to know that? But I thought, you know what, Rose? Keep
Yeah.
your closeted self to yourself. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
this young woman is expressing herself, fully expressing herself without any inhibitions.
Yeah.
And I loved that about the book. You were so brave.
Yeah, thank you.
So with no further ado,
Yeah.
I want us to start reading from the book. Is that okay?
That's perfectly
I
fine.
couldn't
Yeah.
wait to get to this
Okay.
place. Couldn't wait to get to this place.
Okay.
And after I've read the first one, we're then going to go for your second audio.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So is it okay if I kickstart by saying the 4 poems that resonated with me?
Please
Is that
do.
okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I've even got my notes ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I did ask you even before we started, are all of the stories, all of the poems in this book about you?
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're brave.
Thank you.
You are brave. Because some of the stuff I read in here, I think
Yeah.
it was teaching me lessons
Okay.
about releasing, about acceptance,
Yeah.
about just owning stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I really appreciate
Thank you.
the gift that you've given us here.
Thank you.
Nita, thank you. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me start. So, yeah, what I want to do is explore the stories behind the poems.
Okay.
Because when you read them, you actually realise there is a huge story here.
Yeah.
And at some point, I sat there thinking, yeah, so what happened here? So what happened? And I find myself kind of trying to formulate the stories
Yeah.
from the poems you'd written.
Yeah.
Yeah? So let's start with Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
And I'm going to read them because that's my pleasure to do so. This is so fun.
Yeah.
This is a really fun thing to do.
It's interesting hearing someone else read.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, and some of them, like I said, were profoundly sad. But I still felt if Nita is brave enough to write this, I think I should be brave enough to read it.
Yeah.
You know, and really take out of it what works for me,
Yeah.
what I can learn from it.
Yeah.
Because we all have lessons to learn. We never stop learning.
Absolutely.
So, eyes wide open. Even though I knew you did not have the skill to hold my heart, I gave it to you regardless. So how? So I cannot blame you for what didn't happen next. I thought, what a truth. What a truth. And the question that came from me, and I will read it one more time actually.
Okay.
Even though I knew you didn't have the skill to hold my heart, I gave it to you regardless. So I cannot blame you for what didn't happen next. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say there other than, you know, you have to take responsibility
Yeah.
for what's happening in the situation. What are you participating? And I've said this about another poem, and this is what was brought home to me, taking ownership in these poems. You know, the lessons are coming clearly out, clearly at you. So the question for me was, through that experience, how did you learn to love yourself?
That was actually a guy that I had met. It was a long distance relationship.
Right, okay.
I've had a couple.
I think a few women have had those.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to identify.
And I was consumed with him actually.
Yeah.
I was really consumed with
Okay.
everything. You know, and it's so funny not having that physical touch,
Yeah.
but having that emotional connection. And communication as a writer obviously is big for me.
Yeah, it's huge.
So he was wonderfully communicative.
Wow.
You know, he was expressive.
Yeah. And that's a skill set in itself.
Yeah. He was attentive.
Yeah. Yeah.
As attentive as you can be over the phone, and you know.
Wow.
But it was all like empty words. And it took me a time to realise that it was all
How
empty.
long? How
I
long?
think about a year.
Well, he must have been really
Yeah.
charismatic.
Yeah, he was.
Can you imagine? Really charming.
Yeah, he absolutely was.
Wow.
And when it ended, I was so hurt by it. And then I realised, like, hold on, I gave him permission. I knew he wasn't up to it. I knew it.
Yeah.
He was, some of the things he would say,
Yeah.
when he talks about past relationships,
Yeah.
you know, when someone talks to you about their past, and you know, you have to listen. It's not everything, because people can change, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was just ignoring all of the signs. So I knew in my heart of hearts,
Wow.
I knew.
So what does that say? Because I know of a lot of friends, I've even had a little touch of that. And what does that say about our needs, our personal needs to be fulfilled? It says a lot, you know.
It says that there is unfulfillment that goes deeper than your connection, and I can only speak as a woman, to a guy.
Yeah.
So that there's hurt there, there's an empty space
Yes.
that certainly I felt could be filled by someone else.
Wow.
And that's never going to be the case. There's no emptiness inside of me that can be filled by someone else.
No, this is
You
it.
know?
And when do we get to the point where we recognise that we are all we need?
Yeah.
And anything else is complementary.
Yes.
And I've read this before, but it's about believing it.
Yeah.
It's about understanding what that means.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about the journey inward.
Yeah.
So I really identified with that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a short break
Okay.
to go for the second audio.
Okay.
It's probably as good as the first.
I talk to my heart and tell it that it makes no sense to skip a beat whenever I see your pictures or hear your name. I turn to my ego and tell it to refrain from going to your page just to see if your relationship status has changed. I tell my eyes to stop searching for signs that you still need me, that you still want me, or even love me the way you did back then, before it all became a not so distant memory. I will my pen to stop writing you into the lines of my poetry and exposing what lives and breathes in my core just for you. But it allies with my heart, my ego, my eyes, and my pleas are ignored. And I am left wondering. I'm left wondering if your imprint on my soul will ever be erased. And I am left wondering if I ever truly want it to be.
What a profound poem.
Thank you.
What a deep, heartfelt poem that is so relatable. And there are so many men and women who can relate to this. Could you just tell us a little bit about that poem, please?
That poem was a conversation that, you know, and I guess an internal struggle with myself.
Right.
About someone who I loved, who I still love actually. Yeah, still very much love him. We're actually we're good friends now.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the time, I wanted him to be so much. I
More
wanted
than
that
anything.
perfect relationship, and I felt like it became so close, and then it didn't materialize for whatever reason. And then I found out that he was getting married.
Wow, what a blow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just couldn't believe it. And he told me very casually, and it was, you know, kind of getting married. And I remember being at work.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what did you say? What was that?
Did you just say you were getting married?
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, like with social media and stuff, you can check people's statuses and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so it was that conversation that, you know, with myself, you know, it's over. But, you know, he had such an impact, that relationship had such an impact on me.
Yeah.
I just didn't want it to be, you know. So, yeah.
Wow.
And I kept searching for ways to keep it.
Yes, yes. Again, thank you for sharing that. Wow, wow. Okay. So the second poem that I chose was Family Secrets.
Yeah.
So let me make sure I get the page, 38. This was really heart-rendering. And like I said, in terms of my profession, it's so interesting, you know, to see the perspective of a child.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it. If I close my eyes, I can hear his zipper going down. If I close my eyes, I can still feel the confusion of the little girl who thought there might be something wrong with this game, but didn't know what. If I close my eyes, I can still feel his hands cupping mine and laying them on this thing that I didn't know had a name. If I close my eyes, I can still hear the low tone of his voice, inviting me to touch it. If I close my eyes, I can still smell the strange odour as it lingered near my mouth. If I close my eyes, I can still hear the voices of my mother, my uncle, and my auntie on the balcony, and the key turning in the door. If I close my eyes, I can still feel his panic as he put the thing back in his trousers, pulled up the zip. If I close my eyes, I can still hear the raised voices in the living room after we were ushered into the bedroom and told to stay there. We looked at each other, my cousin and I, but we never spoke. We knew that something was wrong. We knew something wrong had taken place. They were so angry with him. We were never allowed to be alone with him again. If I close my eyes, I can still feel the shame, although I never understood why. If I close my eyes, I remember the anger whenever the family gathered. If I closed my eyes, I could still see the little girl who never understood why he wasn't punished. I read it again, and my mind kind of travelled back to that little girl. How old at the time? How old?
About 7.
Okay, now this is just about the age of reasoning. And in social work, we have something called Gillick competent, which is where the judge will make a decision about whether a young person can give evidence or not according to one's understanding, emotional understanding, broader understanding and ability to make sense of what is happening. And at 7 years old, this was a first experience. Am I clear in saying that?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being a first experience, how would you know whether that was wrong or right? Why would you have a sense of not knowing that wasn't right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Could you talk us through that?
It's funny because he was a person that was always laughing. Like the joker in a family.
Right, okay.
And he looked after us before, from what I can remember.
Okay.
On a couple of occasions, his big smile, always smiling. So that evening, when we left with him, it was, it was fun. Because he was,
cool.
And I think probably about maybe 7, maybe he would have been in his early 20s.
Okay.
So watched TV, and I had no sense of anything to be afraid of, when all the lights were out and all that kind of stuff, And so when it was happening, I didn't know what was wrong.
But you just had a sense.
Yeah, and I trusted him.
Wow.
So it was that thing, I trust him.
So
this is
okay.
This is okay. This is a game,
Wow,
Wow. But when, like I said, my family came back and we were sent into them, but that's when I knew something
from their responses.
Yeah, and I just felt so ashamed.
Wow.
Weeks after.
Wow.
Yeah, I felt so ashamed, and it was never talked about.
That's right.
No one spoke to us.
Yeah, afterwards
about what happened.
So there was no real resolution.
There was no conversation about it.
Have you found resolution since?
Yeah, and that's why it's in the book.
Yes. And thank you for sharing, honestly, because I thought you were really brave to share. And I was, then having a thought in my head about, back in the day, it wasn't spoken about in our families, in Caribbean families. It was a taboo conversation, as you said earlier when we were speaking, and that deep sense of shame and the statement, we knew that something was wrong, or we knew something wrong had taken place.
Yeah.
It was just so profound. So again, you know, just thinking about young people out there, thinking about parents, young parents, it is so important. It is so, so important to have good relationships with your children, or
Yeah.
really relationships where your children can talk to you about things that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because child protection is such a big thing now.
Yeah.
You know, CSE, you know,
Yeah.
this is child sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
This is a really huge subject matter now, and in
Yeah.
our communities, it's something that's talked about a lot, child protection and everything else. But back in those days,
Yeah, it was. And then one of the when I spoke to my aunt recently about what happened, she was so upset that she felt like she let us down, you know. And what she said was one of the reasons why it wasn't reported was because they feared that social services will come and take us,
okay,
you know. But I said to her, you know, I didn't put it in the book for you to feel bad.
no,
I have let that go.
yeah, it's about
I
acceptance.
forgive
Yes,
I forgive him,
yes,
because
Okay.
if I don't do that,
mm.
then it will only be me that's hurt by it,
Yeah, that's carrying it.
that's carrying it around,
Oh.
you know. And it wasn't planned to put in the book, actually. That was actually sort of last minute, but it came up, and I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
thank
if
you
it
for
came up,
sharing.
it needed to be in there.
Yeah.
But they had their own fears, their own, you know. And I think they felt that maybe keeping him around in the family, they could sort of keep an eye on him.
Yes, yes, and that makes it policing
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, but also for me, every time I saw him, there was a sense of fear.
Yes, yes. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
But wow, like I said, there are so many families experiencing these difficulties, especially in these times of COVID, you know, where
Yeah.
domestic violence has risen. You can imagine
absolutely.
where you have this captive audience of young children
Yeah,
at home for extended periods of time.
yeah,
There's the likelihood that
Yeah.
that issues like this can arise.
yeah.
You know, and it leans to
An increase, you know.
an increase. So thank you
Untold
for sharing.
stories, yeah.
Exactly. So at least in this way, people then don't necessarily feel isolated.
Yeah,
Parents reading it, you know, older teenagers reading it, can identify with your story
yeah,
and think, well, actually, I don't have to hide it. It's not a secret.
yeah,
I can talk to somebody about it.
yeah. And
I
it
can
should.
expose the,
And
you
you
know.
should. Do
Yes.
you know what I mean? Absolutely. And families, parents, you know, don't cover up. Do you know what I mean?
Don't cover up.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, let's move on.
Okay.
Mummy wounds
Okay.
on page 90. And I could identify with this too. So let's just get straight to it. And I'm going to read again. I forgive you for every embarrassment. I forgive you for the shame. I forgive you for every hurtful word. I forgive you for the light that never shone in your eyes for me. How could it when it never shone even for your own self? How could you give me what you never had?
Yeah.
How could you make me feel good enough to be me when you never felt good enough to be you? Wow, that was profound. And I could identify, coming back to family again,
Yeah.
I could identify with this. I had a really lovely relationship with my mother. My mother was everything.
Okay.
But my father was actually much more tactile and more kind of affectionate, whereas mum was very dutiful. She was loving, but she was more dutiful. Do you have the school trousers? We need to make sure you have the... Very dutiful. So it was a nice balance with both my parents, actually. But reading this poem, there was that precursor for me to the Windrush era. Coming from the rich tropics where the resources, you know, you had fruit and food and everything else. But the families still experienced poverty in the Caribbean when we were younger. And I also thought about the wider divide between parent and child relationship. And, you know, keep quiet, you don't talk, when you know, that sort of thing. And just the interpersonal relationships that we have with our parents, and how much more we now as parents have mellowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I look at the backdrop of the race relations laws of the 1970s, 1975, in fact, no blacks, no dogs, no Irishmen, our parents had to deal with that. You know, our parents had to deal with that. So that social conditioning may have impacted how they behaved even. But tell us, how was it for you? Tell me about this poem.
Growing up, I mean, like you said, my relationship with my mum, you know, I love my mum dearly. My mum was always fun. Like, always
Okay.
played like board games,
All
and
right, okay,
cards
yes.
and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess emotionally,
Right.
there was something missing, you know. And for a long time, growing up, I always kind of felt like I wasn't good enough
Okay.
for my mum. It always felt like whatever I did, it could have been done better. And then through my own healing journey and looking at myself and my own parenting,
Yes, okay,
right,
yes,
being
yes.
a parent,
Right.
yeah, I realised that my mum was just doing the very best
That she could.
that she could with what she knew and what
Yes.
she had at the time.
Absolutely.
And, you know, she had her mum, who was very much the way that she was with me, with her.
All right.
And so I imagined that my grandmother had a mother who was
Yes.
very much that way. You
That
know?
way. Yeah.
So it's like if we don't unpick these things for ourselves, you know, if we don't really try to get to the root of it, we'll always point the finger of blame, you know, why you never, you know,
Yeah.
hugged me, or you weren't
Yeah.
very emotional, whatever. But my mum's got her own stuff to deal with. I can't, as an adult, expect her to deal with my stuff.
That's right. I hear you.
You know, so that's what that was about. That you know,
So how is it that you did it differently then? Because, you know, you obviously think, oh, my grandmother was this way, so my mother was this way. But you actually
Yeah.
did something different. So
yeah, only. But like I say, it was only. I started to do things differently, and I guess not point the finger of blame, because healing is our own responsibility. You know, we cannot blame other people for this. You know, I know that some
Absolutely.
people go through some horrific things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
it's, the power is ours. You know, the power is mine.
Yes.
So, you know, whatever it is I felt growing up that my mum didn't provide, I had to forgive that and let it go. You know, because she's a person in her own right with her own healing to do. Do you know what I mean?
You went through
So-
a major shift.
Yeah, a major.
This, you know, coming into the writing of this book,
Yeah,
the last couple of years, you've
Yeah,
evolved
major.
so much.
Yeah,
Which leads us nicely into the last poem I have chosen,
yeah.
which is Letting Go.
Okay,
This has to be amongst the favourite
okay.
for me, and because of the life lesson it taught me some years ago, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
I forgive you for not being what you appeared to be. I forgive you for departing so suddenly. I forgive me for not believing you when you showed me your cruelty. I forgive you for the pain, disdain, and the love refrain. But my forgiveness is not for you. It is a rescue of me. With my mind, body, and soul in unity, I set myself free. I am the heroine of this story. I release myself from the chains of anger, bitterness, and self-sabotage. I rise in glory. I forgive you and I thank you. If I could live it again, I wouldn't change a thing. I loved this, and I've got to read the stuff I wrote with this.
Okay.
Reverse psychology, I've written. You take charge in terms of the effect of the impact of what's happened. Set yourself free, no regrets. Taking ownership for your contribution to that situation. Taking responsibility for participating when the person showed you who he or she was.
Yes.
To some extent, to be truthful, I, or perhaps you, weren't brave enough to set yourself free. Yes? to know my own capacity, my own capability, my strength and crowning glory. Self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got 2 questions to ask you. But before that, I want to tell you a little story of mine,
Okay.
which I can so relate to this.
Okay.
One day, maybe 20 years ago now, I was chatting to one of my male, like, Buddhist friends on the phone. Yeah, and he did this and he did that. And honestly, I just don't get... Shut up! I said, Clive, are you there? Are you there? Stop it! I said, are you talking to me? And he said, yes, I am talking to you. I just felt attacked. I said to him, what are you talking about? He said, you are such a coward. You are hiding behind this man instead of taking responsibility for what you play in all of this. If you don't want it, move away. Get away from this man. You need to break this off.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was flabbergasted because I just didn't see it coming. So please, please tell us why you wrote Letting Go. Please tell us.
My children's dad, that's actually who that's about. Bless so, him. If you're watching, when I met him, I had this ideal, meet someone, fall in love, have a baby.
Right.
There was no marriage.
Okay.
I didn't really know that at the time. I didn't know that I should expect marriage. So
Okay.
we had a child, and I thought that having a child and being a good woman, cooking, cleaning, boiling green banana in the morning for breakfast,
Mash it up for carriage. I get that. I can so identify with that. My goodness.
I can swordfish by 11 o'clock.
Cool.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because we were so culturally, he's Jamaican.
Yeah.
I'm British born.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a part of my sort of know-how.
Yeah, your culture.
My culture.
Such. Yeah.
My mum's Jamaican. So but for
British
me,
culture
British culture is different.
Yeah.
So I thought if I did all those things,
yes, of course,
he would just love me, right?
Of course.
He would cradle me.
I love it.
Look after, be there. Well, it didn't happen like that. And so I kept on expecting it to happen like that.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And things were getting worse.
You're thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah,
what
I'm thinking
doing?
and I kept expecting him to be better, so then I could be better, so then we could do better. And then one day, I just said, hold on a second. This is not the way it's usually. And this says something, just breaking in very quickly, about the rites of passage for us as, women, looking at Pan-African viewpoint. The rites of passage is so important. But at some point you came to the realisation. I came to the realisation that he was never going to change. So I had to.
Wow.
I came to the realisation that, I am so strong. And back then I didn't think I was half as strong as I am now. But I knew that I was needed and deserved better than what he was giving. Yeah. And so I just literally got up one day and ended it.
Wow.
And he was shocked. But what I guess the point of that poem is that I carried that hurt with me for many years and the resentment, and actually I became very bitter and very angry. Right. And every guy that came along after that, I looked at him with the same eyes that I looked at.
Wow. So that's another lesson.
Yeah. And I had to let go of that.
Right.
I had to
you recognised it.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So the question was, when did the recognition come that this wasn't going anywhere, that this wasn't working out, that actually what I thought should have happened isn't happening?
I think my son must have been about 3 or 4. And I was working and, going back to work part-time and, and looking after him. And I felt like I was doing it on my own. Okay. So I just said, if I'm doing it on my own, but I've got this other person here, I might as well just be on my own, because it really doesn't make any sense.
So was it the repetition of what was happening that brought you to that place of recognition?
It was the sadness.
Yeah. And I can imagine it was compounding
Yeah, and it
every
was
day.
the embarrassment as well. Always having to lean on my family, even though I said I was in a relationship with someone, my children's dad. I was still leaning on them in ways that I shouldn't have been. You know, when you've got a partner and you're working together, and I was tired of that. You know, so if they were going to help me, they'd help me as a single woman.
Yeah, help me now. Yeah,
You know.
I get you. So, at what point did you give yourself permission to leave?
It was the point where I just said enough. You know.
I can identify with.
Yeah, just enough.
Yeah.
You know, neither of us seem to be very happy, and it's okay. And like, I don't have to pretend anymore.
Wow.
I don't have to, you know, pretend that I've got this great guy here, because there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, making excuses for him and stuff like that.
Wow.
So I just gave myself permission one day. I think it was actually on his birthday.
Ouch.
Yeah. I think he probably really hated me for about 5 years after that. But it was actually on his birthday, and I packed all of his stuff on his birthday, and I said to him, "You need to go." And he didn't take me seriously, because we had things like that before, you know. Get out,
Yeah.
And then he'd come back, and then this time, that was it. And I made up my mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I tell you, these poems, you know, there's that saying, authenticity is the new currency.
Yeah.
You know, being truthful, because it brings it, you know, it brings up so much emotion in me. So I can imagine for all of the readers, reading the poems from all of me is going to resonate for you too. It's going to resonate for you too.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
Transparency is important.
Transparency is really important. Really important. So now I want to ask you to select 3 or 4 poems that you like.
Okay.
And we'll see what transpires for you.
Okay.
Yeah? Do you want to take that copy there?
Okay. I'm going to go with The Healing Begins. So, each time I break through, I reveal a little more of the self that caused me to forget who I am, and I find release. Nestled in the delicate layers of my being, fragments of my life lay dormant, waiting for the light of truth to shine on them, so they can guide me home. I am on my way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was very directed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, oh wow. I liked that.
Thank you.
Was that part of the, you know, okay, so we're talking about the journey of healing. So that for me was trying to etch direction.
Yeah, that's about the layers.
Yes.
You know? Discovering yourself.
Yes.
And all the layers that make you up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just ongoing. I find it's ongoing. And each time, because, you know, lots of times I think, oh, I've healed from that now.
Yeah.
And then something will happen to trigger.
That's right, another direction.
Another emotion.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you think, oh, have I really healed from that?
Wow, okay, yes.
And it's more work.
Yeah.
It's more work. It's more work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I liked that. I really liked that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, let's have another.
Let's see.
I'm on my way.
Okay. This one's called Beautiful.
We are indeed.
And we are. You are.
We are.
Yes. It's
You're already thinking of the story, aren't you?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You know?
Do you want to give us the story first? Or?
Yeah. It was
Love
really falling in love.
Oh.
Yeah, and just
That's always nice.
Yeah, and you know when you just see the loveliness in someone, you know, the beauty in someone. You are a delectable dichotomy of strength and gentleness.
Love it.
One that sweeps me off my feet. I am enchanted by the boldness of your love. Unraveling under your gaze, I reveal the softness of a woman I had forgotten. With every conversation bubbling with laughter, our vibrations soaring high, I remember my femininity. I remember the curve of my lips and the sway of my hips that are electrified by the beat of your heart. My love. The past is paved with footprints of feet that carried us to this moment. The present is ours to enjoy. The future is ours to create. Let's go. Let's make it beautiful now.
That was quite intoxicating, actually. It was. It just got deeper and deeper, that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was so descriptive. We need to make a film from that poem alone.
I know, right?
Definitely. That was lovely. That was delectable. That was almost lickable. I liked that.
I like that.
Like a good ice cream, you know. I just love that.
I like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, love is beautiful, you know.
Oh.
And we were saying earlier, I'm a hopeless romantic, so you know, I'll keep getting back up for love. I'll keep trying.
You've got the strength,
Yeah.
you've got the, you know, the mental tenacity in that book to enable you to do that.
Yeah.
And go again.
And go again. Exactly.
I have it now too.
Yeah? And we're sharing it. Yeah, you've got it too. So no excuses.
No excuses. No excuses at all. Oh my gosh. Have we had two now?
We've had two.
Yeah, we've got two more. I want the spoils.
Okay. This is called Crowning Glory. You wake me and take my hand at 6 a.m. You lead me to that place where the willows droop their beauty. Seated under this wonder, I crown you in all my glory. Our pulsating, penetrating, rhythmic motion tells the story of our love and of our ecstasy in this, our sacred space. It is witnessed by the earth beneath us, the rising of the dawn, a chorus of morning bird song. They welcome our consummation in this, our sacred space.
What an intimate cocktail. I absolutely loved that.
So that was from Ecstasy.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
you couldn't have mistaken it.
Yeah.
You really couldn't. Okay, one more. And, you know, I just love, you know, the stories are just so, they just have such a strong resonance, all of them.
Thank you.
I love that. It's meaningful.
Yeah.
I can so relate these poems to life.
Yeah.
They actually tell a story. You read it and you start to imagine. You start to make up the stories thinking, wow, could it be that? Could it be that? And the differing perceptions of, you know, what that means or what each of these poems means. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
So let's have one more.
Okay. I'm going to go with soul food. When you find that thing that feeds your soul, that thing that you wake up and go to sleep thinking about, there'll be no time to be concerned with who's hating you or how your ideas are being stolen. When you find that thing that feeds your soul, you will finally understand that your light can never be dimmed and your uniqueness can never be replaced.
Wow. Well, there's inspiration for you.
Yeah.
Very inspiring, you know.
Yeah.
That you can be inspired in that way.
Yeah. Because I think that, you know, especially these days as well, you know, social media and things, and people will always say, you know, that's my idea or this and the other, but there is enough for us all. This is an abundant earth.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and we can have an abundant life.
Our uniqueness.
You know, our uniqueness.
Yeah.
You know that you're unique.
Yes, yes.
You know,
Nobody can take that from you, and
no
you
one-
can produce
exactly.
from that.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's enough for all of us,
There is
because
enough for
each of
all.
us brings something.
Yeah.
We're another representation, another expression
Yeah.
of the Godhead.
Yeah.
You know, so in that way,
Yeah.
we each have something to bring.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Yours is poetry. It's
is.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
Mm.
So thank you so much for sharing those poems
Oh,
with
you're
me
welcome.
and with our audience.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful. So what's next?
Definitely going to be working on an audio book.
Mm.
Yeah.
With new poetry, or
Um,
are we doing all of me?
No, I'm laughing at myself right now because Theo did say to me, can I put this on the thing without it dropping, right? And I went, yeah,
That should be easily done.
I did it. But then I
Don't
didn't.
worry about it. Let's not be distracted. I'll hold up my copy. Let's
Thank
not be
you.
distracted. So,
Yeah, going to be working on an audio book.
mhm.
The feedback that I've got, and I enjoy speaking the poems. It's relatively new to me in that sense, in terms of my confidence in doing so. But the more I do it, the more I love it.
Passion.
Yeah, like sometimes hearing your own voice as well. That can be. But the things that I have shared on social media, on my Facebook and Instagram page, have been well received, which is nice.
Nice, encouraging.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's encouraging.
Right.
So I'm definitely working on an audio book and a second book as well. Yeah.
And what's the second book? What's the theme?
So it's going to be, the plan is to have all of me be a trilogy.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And
Why
the
not?
plot thickens, the story deepens. No, but it's fantastic because to me it's a storybook as well as a poetry book.
Yeah.
So I want to
Yeah.
see what other stories you've got hidden back there.
Well, the second one's definitely going to be more of a, it's going to be a much smaller book, and more sort of empowerment quotes.
Affirmations.
Affirmation.
Excellent.
Because these are the things that really helped me on my journey towards writing that book, and just on my healing journey as well.
Yeah.
So that's what that one's going to be about. The third one I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
Yeah.
So with the healing journey, where are you at with your healing journey now?
I was saying this to a friend the other day that I know that I am healed from the thing,
Yes.
and I cannot wait
That's
for a surgeon or a consultant to tell me that. I know that magic and wonder
Yeah, miraculous healing.
is all around.
It's real.
And it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
So as far as I'm concerned, the
You're
physical side,
Yes.
I'm healed from.
Fantastic.
The emotional
what faith
side,
does that take?
yeah, it takes a lot of
A
strength.
lot of faith.
Yeah, a lot. The emotional side, I don't know. I feel like there's always something that comes along and tests you. So right now, today, I'm in a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, something may come along to really kind of make me question: am I in a wonderful place? And I'll have to go dig deep again.
This is how we grow.
And this is how you grow.
And a lot of people don't understand that transgressions are actually here to challenge us,
Absolutely.
to make us uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so that we find ways to either make it better,
Yeah.
to get over it,
Yeah.
to fix it. But in each of those expressions,
Yeah.
we actually grow.
Yeah.
Because nothing stays the same.
Yeah.
So we actually grow stronger,
Yeah.
bigger, better.
Yeah.
So people, I need to understand that. If everything was just in your comfort zone, would we ever
Well,
really...
where's the challenge?
Where's the challenge?
Where's the challenge to who you are, or to even who you think you are?
Yeah.
Like you say, where do you grow? And also gratitude. Like I'm
big
so grateful.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for everything, every challenge,
Yeah.
the diagnosis, everything,
Yes.
because it's brought me to where to this.
And I feel so much the same as I get older.
Yeah.
I'm actually learning to appreciate what I have,
Yeah.
understand what I have is precious. Life is precious.
Yeah.
Yeah, our relationships, communication,
Yeah.
connection is so important. So I wrote a poem for you
Which is lovely. Okay.
I was inspired
Thank
to
you.
write a poem for you,
Okay.
which I've even, printed on
Wow. Okay.
on yellow thick paper. So it's called A Gift.
Okay.
You have emerged from the chrysalis, a beautiful poet, resolute and intact, free from the burdens of past experiences and pain. I acknowledge your inner journey, your secrets laid bare. Devoid of shame, we hail your testimony. I celebrate you today. Your ancestors salute you. Thank you for sharing your gift with us. A kindred soul identified. May love and blessings continue to be bestowed on you.
Wow.
A gift.
That is.
I will sign
Beautiful.
that and give it to you.
Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a crier,
Yeah, listen.
and I
It's
get
about
touched
the
by things.
No, but I was touched by your book.
Wow, that's so
Your book
beautiful.
has so many lessons. Thank you. I mean, this is how your book inspired me.
Wow.
I write poetry now and again,
Wow.
but I was so inspired to write that for you, considering what I'd read. You know, I really am proud of you, Nita. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your efforts. I'm proud of your accomplished literary works.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Wow.
Well done. Okay. So we're going to bring the show to a close.
Okay.
And I'm sure you and I could talk forever and a
I'm
day.
pretty sure we could, yeah.
So thank you again for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your gifts with us.
And thank you for my gift.
No problem.
That's really,
My pleasure.
really powerful, really touching. You should write poetry more often.
I used to write a lot more,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Yeah.
You see, you're inspiring me to
Wow.
go in different directions.
Mhm.
And this is a passion you've stirred.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, audience, good evening. I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of the live book show, where we're looking at All of Me from Nita in Awe. Please get yourselves a copy of this book. This book will enable you to begin the journey within. It will certainly help. It helped me. Thank you and good night.